Alrighty there. Hello, everybody, and welcome again to What's Week This Week with this freak, Marklar. It's brought to you by 12160.info. And first up, heroin lollipops. The U.S. Customs inspectors seized 172 lollipops with heroin hidden in their centers from a jittery smuggler at Orlando Airport in Florida, the agency said on Tuesday. Rafael Jimenez, a 45-year-old Guatemalan, arrived on a flight from Central America on Friday and appeared very nervous and was sweating profusely. As he passed through customs with his luggage, the arrest affidavit said. Agents searched his duffel bag and found 3.2 kilograms of heroin, or a little over 7 pounds, disguised as candy lollipops. Initially, U.S. Customs also seized 500 tabs of Flintstones chewable morphine, 200 methamphetamine ice pops, 3 pounds of psilocybin Snickers, 5 pounds of Muscatel bars, and 16 cereal boxes of Cocoa Puffs. These items were, however, returned to Raphael when he was able to produce an entirely illegible prescription for those items. Our next story, Eric Holder says that murder is legal. Yes, that's right. Attorney General Eric Holder on Monday explained why it's legal to murder people. Not to execute prisoners convicted of capital crimes, nor to shoot someone in self-defense, not to fight on a battlefield in a war that's somehow legalized, but to target and kill an individual sitting on his sofa with no charges, no arrest, no trial, no approval from a court, no approval from a legislature, no approval from we the people, and in fact, no sharing of information with any institutions that are not the president. Excuse me. Holder's speech approached his topic in a roundabout manner. Quote, Since this country's early days, the American people have risen to this challenge and all that it demands. But as we have seen, and as President John F. Kennedy may have described best, in the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. Holder quotes and then immediately rejects it, claiming that our generation too should act as if it is in such a moment, even if it isn't. A moment that Holder's position suggests may last forever. Once again, quote, half a century has passed since those words were spoken, but our nation today confronts grave national security threats that demand our constant attention and steadfast commitment. It is clear that once again we have reached an hour of danger. We are a nation at war, and in this war we face a nimble and determined enemy that cannot be underestimated. End quote. Oh, so Mr. Holder, if I were to estimate that Al-Qaeda barely exists and is no serious threat to the homeland formerly known as the United States, I would not be underestimating it? If I were to point out that no member of the horrifying outfit that has been killed in Afghanistan this year, that fact would not contribute to an unacceptable underestimation? Perhaps I could say that Al-Qaeda is a charity organization whose only purpose is to save puppies from being murdered by U.S. soldiers. Would I be underestimating them? Perhaps I could say that Al-Qaeda is composed entirely of 2 paraplegic midgets with Down syndrome. Still not underestimating them? Oh, what fun it is to fight the most glorious of wars in the hour of maximum danger against an enemy so pitiful that it literally cannot be underestimated. Oh, one moment please. Gotta calm myself down a little bit. Okay. Alright. The United States will ensure Israel retains military superiority over its adversaries as the country faces the potential threat of a nuclear-armed Iran, Defense Secretary Leon Panetta said Tuesday. Quote, "This is an ironclad pledge which says that the United States will provide whatever support is necessary for Israel to maintain military superiority over any state or coalition of states, as well as non-state actors," Panetta told top pro-Israel lobby in Washington, AIPAC. He touted President Barack Obama's record of security assistance to Israel, saying that the administration has dramatically increased military aid since Obama entered the White House in 2009, despite the superpower's ongoing economic woes. This year, the president's budget requests $3.1 billion in security assistance to Israel, compared to $2.5 billion in 2009, said Panetta. According to a prepared text of the speech delivered to the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, Panetta cited advanced missile and rocket defenses and plans to deliver the new F-35 fighter jet to Israel, which he said would provide the country with unquestioned air superiority. When asked about the consistent failures and breakdowns of the F-35, Panetta pointed out that despite these drawbacks, the F-35 does look really intimidating sitting in the hangar and on the tarmac, which makes it the perfect combat vehicle for a country whose military strategy is based upon constantly writing checks with its mouth that it can't cash. Next up, we have some news from Washington, D.C. As unsavory as that normally is. The Washington, D.C. School Board dared hackers to crack its new web-based absentee voting system 4 days ahead of the real election. University of Michigan professor Alexander Halderman and 2 graduate students did indeed, with a few hours, getting the Futurama character Bender elected to the board using a shell vulnerability to break into the system. They were able to change existing votes and replace new ones with fakes. They also caught hackers from Iran breaking in and blocked them out and replaced a "thank you for voting" message with one that simply said, "owned." Washington, D.C.'s mayor, Huckleberry Hound, could not be reached for comment. Yeah, let's see here. Next up, a Democrat has introduced a resolution in Alabama's House that apparently mocks Republican job creation efforts by joking that scientists will soon grow money on trees. The resolution by Representative Daniel Bowman also claims in jest that large class sizes are good for students seeking to make more friends. It also quips Alabama's children should be helping our economy by working and not by learning useless skills such as reading, writing, and arithmetic that are completely unessential in today's economy. Republicans weren't amused. House Rules Committee Chairman Blaine Gallagher said the resolution was inappropriate and unprofessional and going nowhere. Recently, a Mississippi House lawmaker playfully ribbed other bills in that state to crack down on illegal immigration, jokingly proposing to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Now, for my comments on this situation. First of all, joking about money growing on trees someday probably isn't the smartest way to go when you're addressing an apple farmers convention. People who do, in fact, already grow money on trees. As for large class sizes being great for making friends, well, I have to say I know an even better way. As a politician in today's America, you are surely committing crimes both various and sundry. I suggest that instead of waiting to get caught, you turn yourself in now so that you can make no end of friends in the highly structured friend-making facility known as the Supermax prison system. Not only will you make friends, you'll make close friends. Very close friends. Admittedly, friends who get a little rapey sometimes, but hey, you can never have enough friends, right? Okay, well, last but not least, our top story of today is the good old Syrian Dan expose. Remember the fake news report that perpetrated by CNN, where the Gulf War correspondent Charles Jacco reported from the front lines in CNN's studio? Well, probably not. You probably don't remember that. That was back in 1991, but they are in fact at it again, though, as frequent CNN contributor from Syria, Syrian Dan, was caught on an unedited tape that's been making the rounds, assuring that gunfire has been prepared for his talk with CNN. When CNN tried to spin the story on Anderson Cooper to make it look like somebody had edited the film, Syrian Dan outed himself, explaining that, well, the Syrian government forces were not shelling anywhere near us. Oh, that explains it. You had to fake it. All right, okay. So, for those surprised by this, let me remind you that you were seriously listening to news being provided by a guy named Syrian Dan. Seriously, people. Would you buy a used car, or a camel for that matter, from a guy named Syrian Dan? Would you open an account at Syrian Dan's bank? Would you drop your kids off at Syrian Dan's discount daycare? Go, your little ones will be fine here with me. Go and enjoy your workday. Don't worry. Yeah. So, think about that next time. Maybe you shouldn't be getting your news from a guy with a name like Syrian Dan. Anderson Cooper. I mean, what's up with having two last names like that? Or Marklar, for that matter. And also keep in mind that CNN is provably and undoubtedly the bombacious stripper of the news. They may have big tits that look great, but they are so fake. And, well, that's it for this week. For What's Week this week. Once again, this is Marklar, brought to you by 12160.info. And until the next week, get out there, have some fun. Listen to some real news, okay? Inform yourself, get out there. Oh, and also, remember, the answer to 1984 is 1995, plus shipping and handling. Handling, excuse me. We'll see you next week.